Hey everybody, Jake here and welcome to the hobby. Today we're going to be talking about modern Pokemon cards and vintage Pokemon cards. Which one should you be collecting? What are the pros and cons of each? If you asked any Pokemon card collector 3 years ago, what Pokemon card should you be collecting? They would smack you on the head and say, what are you, stupid? You only collect vintage. Don't trust modern stuff. It's all trash. It's all going to go to zero. None of it is worth anything. And things have completely changed. The modern scene for Pokemon cards is now really vibrant, and there are a ton of really high value and precious modern Pokemon cards with just the most fantastic artwork. So let's discuss that. When it comes to any hobby, as it matures, there comes a point when both modern and vintage becomes their own scene. There's enough time span passing between the two that now you have pretty much two scenes. This is super common with just about any hobby. Look at something like baseball cards or basketball cards. You got cool vintage cards like Babe Ruth and Michael Jordan going for hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. But then you also have the modern ones like Mike Trout and LeBron James, who are players that are still playing, and their cards are also going for hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars. So there's plenty of value in either market. And the Pokemon card scene is reaching the point of maturity where there's a separation between the two, where you have this continuous scene of vintage Pokemon cards, but there is now a growing scene of modern collectors that is just the Wild West, and it's completely different, it's new, it's fresh, and it's fun. So let's talk about the pros and cons of each. Vintage Pokemon cards, they're iconic, they're memorable, they're nostalgic, and they smell like your mom's cooking because that's how you remember it. Vintage Pokemon cards are some of the safest collectibles when it comes to the Pokemon hobby. A big part of it is that the people that have these vintage collectibles don't like to sell them, especially the super rare stuff. Something like a first edition base set booster box, that thing is never dropping in price, and a big part of it is that the people who have these collectibles are just not willing to sell them. No matter how much the market declines, they just won't sell them, mainly because they don't have to. The people that own these super expensive products are very well off, and if the market ever drops in price, they just simply won't sell them. They have the price inside of their head, and they'll sell them when they reach that price point. If it doesn't reach that point, no big deal, they just never sell. So that's why the vintage Pokemon card market is very consistent, especially the sealed products. They don't really decline in value. They will just slowly climb in value over the next couple of years. If you're into something that's super consistent, super safe, vintage collectibles tend to be some of the best one. However, the con of it is that it's a little bit boring. There's no news that is going to come out when it comes to vintage Pokemon cards. There's no additional information that you're ever going to find out about first edition base set, Jungle, Fossil, Neo series, or the E series. Everything that's known about these sets have been pretty much the same over the last couple of years. There's no new information flowing around. The market for these are kind of set in stone. The most popular cards are going to remain the most popular cards pretty much forever. There's never going to be a point when a new most popular card is going to shift. That is where the modern market is really differentiating itself from the vintage market, where things are completely different. There are new cards that are consistently moving around on what is the most popular cards in every single set. The most popular card on a specific set today might not be the most popular card the next day. It completely shifts. When it comes to modern Pokemon cards, things are just constantly moving. Let's give you guys some example. Ultra Prism and Cosmic Eclipse. The most expensive cards from these two sets were the Solgaleo GX Secret Rare from Ultra Prism and the Hyper Rare Charizard and Brexen Tag Team GX card from Cosmic Eclipse. These cards were the most expensive cards in these sets for over a year, and then 4 trainer cards became very popular, and these two cards actually got dethroned. The most expensive card inside of Ultra Prism now is the Lily Full Art, and the most expensive card inside of Cosmic Eclipse is now the Rosa Full Art. So the market is constantly shifting. The most popular modern Pokemon cards today might not be the most popular modern Pokemon cards in 2 or 3 years. And the market has definitely shifted. There was a point in time when there were no modern Pokemon cards inside of any sets that are over $100, and now you have sets like Evolving Skies, which have multiple cards going for easily upwards of over $100, and so many more additional cards that are in the $50 to $100 range. It is truly a Wild West scenario. Now here's the big kicker. 99.9% of modern Pokemon cards are not going to go up in value. They will simply do not. And you're probably thinking, you know which ones will go up in value. And the truth is, no one knows which cards will go up in value. You might have a bunch of Celebrations Charizard inside of your collections, and those are probably a slam dunk is what you're thinking. Now, here's going to be a hard pill to swallow, but personally, one of my bold predictions is that that Charizard will stay under $100 for the next 10 to 20 years. There are so many copies of it out in existence that I don't see it ever gaining traction when there are so many other versions of base set Charizard that are just significantly better. So that is my hot take. Take it how you will. Some people dislike the video over that, but that's an example. You can't really predict which modern Pokemon cards will be the most valuable. I've had some decent luck with things like the Scream promo and Mario Pikachu. Now you can look at those cards and say, well, obviously they went up in value. They are fantastic, but I didn't know that. Most people didn't know that. I've sold Mario Pikachu cards for $100. I've sold Scream promo sets for $200. Those are of course now worth thousands of dollars, but I sold them for fair market value 2 years ago, which was $100 or less for some of these cards. So you just simply do not know what is going to go up in value. I collect them because I like the artwork, and that's really all that matters. I was just hoping that they would be valuable someday, and I got very lucky. That is how the modern market works. If you are into a modern Pokemon card, collect it because you love it. Don't collect it because you think it'll go up in value, because guess what? You don't know. People simply do not know, and that's part of the fun of it. I think part of the fun of modern Pokemon cards is the mystery element. The scene is constantly evolving and constantly changing. A lot of the collectibles that I have on display over the last couple of years have changed, especially since my taste in Pokemon cards has evolved with the hobby. I used to be a vintage Pokemon card collector only, and over the past couple of years, my display case has really started to push more on the modern side, since I just find that the aesthetic appeals more to me nowadays. And as a collector, I think that's important. I don't think that as a collector, you should be collecting the same item for 20, 30 years. You should evolve, you should adapt with the hobby as it continues to grow. So there are Pokemon cards inside of my collections, modern Pokemon cards, that are very affordable right now. And I'm really rooting for them. Hopefully someday they'll be expensive, and I will be very proud to be one of the few people who own a copy of it. But that's just it. I enjoy having these cards inside of my collection regardless of their value. So take that how you will. Should you be collecting vintage or modern? There really is no wrong answer. There is a completely different scene and dichotomy between the two, whether you want something super consistent and will continuously go up in value pretty much no matter what, or would you prefer taking something a little bit more risky but constantly evolving and constantly changing and never knowing what's going to happen next. They're completely different scenes, and there's legitimacy to collecting either, and it really just comes down to who you are as a collector. And honestly, I've collected both and I enjoy both. There's plenty of validity in both. Depending on what people ask me when they try to join the hobby, I will recommend different things. When they say they're interested in vintage, I say Base Set Unlimited is a great place to begin, because you should collect the original base set. It's a very nostalgic area to begin with. It's a very easy set to get a complete set of, and it's fun. It's very consistent, very simple, and you get a basic understanding of set collecting. For modern Pokemon cards, there's Shining Fates, there's Hidden Fates, there's plenty of cool modern Pokemon card sets with really flashy cards that are fairly affordable that I can recommend people to collect depending on what they're into, whether it be full art trainers, rare Charizard cards, or Japanese promos. The scene is just so vibrant right now. Alright everybody, that's the end of today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that was insightful for you guys. Let me know whether you're collecting modern Pokemon cards or vintage Pokemon cards. I think the modern scene is definitely a little bit stronger. There's a lot more people collecting modern Pokemon cards and less so vintage. Even the vintage Pokemon card collectors are moving away from it because I think most people are completing their sets and they're getting bored of it. Most people are not going to collect the same sets for 10, 20 years. They're going to evolve, they're going to change, and they're going to continuously collect the newer stuff. And that's completely fine. There will always be a strong, healthy population of people collecting vintage Pokemon cards. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.